Julius, I miss you. Two-time Pro Bowl tight end, formerly of the Broncos, the Jags, the Dolphins, founder of Optimal Performance. Julius, how are you?
I'm doing well, and I miss you as well. And I've been so excited to see you because the last time we talked, I think I made a bit of a prediction that may or may not have, it may have played out really well for me.
What was it?
Last time I was on your show, we talked
Yeah.
about Bo Nix, and there was a little uncertainty around that pick for the Broncos. And I said, just wait on it. I think people in Broncos country are going to be really happy about how that pick turns out in a few months. And I may have patted myself on the back a little bit.
And you should, because there were a lot of questions. And I remember just about the Broncos, like nobody was giving them their due. They're like, I think it was 7.5. Like the people didn't think they didn't win anything. And then they did what they did. What did you know about Bo? And congratulate, and I take a victory lap. I love that. What did you know about him, Julius, that maybe the rest of the world didn't?
Well, I think that two of the things that are most important, and I mean, I spent a good portion of my life catching passes. And so one of the things you're really looking for as a pass catcher is you want to know a person that can come in and learn a system all the way down to the nuts and bolts, understand all the complexities that go into an NFL offense. And the other thing you're looking for is athleticism. And then I would also say, accuracy and then some athleticism, right? So you look at Bo Nix, you look at his career, how he's been able to play at different universities, master those systems, be accurate no matter where he's been. And then he has enough athleticism to extend the play, roll out a little bit. You think about that profile of a quarterback with Sean Payton, and you go, come on, like the writing is on the wall here. We just got to let them work. And it was amazing to see the year that he had. I'm excited for the Broncos offense. You see my football right here. It's been a long time since we were prolific on that side of the ball. So I'm really happy for them and how they were able to play last year.
It's funny because in retrospect, everyone's saying, of course, Bo Nix. Like, Bo Nix was fantastic. But you said this before he even played a snap, a game. And that's amazing. I love how there's a basketball jersey in back of you as well, yours,
Yes.
which is amazing. When it comes to Bo, and we should have flagged that, and I'm sorry, we should have watched that interview and seen that you had predicted that. I totally forgot. Did you think, if we were being honest now, you knew he'd be good? I have to go watch that interview. But did you think he'd be that good?
So, you never know how that first rookie year was going to go. And I think that I may have said, it may not happen right away, but it's going to happen. But I mean, the way he showed up, the poise he played with, I mean, one of the biggest things that irritates me about pro sports, and this is basketball, baseball, football, you name it. Now there's like a knock on a pro athlete that played all 4 years, is like 25 years old. Like, oh, are they too old? Oh, are we missing out on all the potential of getting a young player? And I'm like, wait, we want people that can come in and they can play their position and they can do things the right way. I don't have a problem with a 25-year-old quarterback. So what? He's a little bit older. That shouldn't be a knock on their potential at the professional level. So I wasn't sure quite when he was going to break out, but I was very confident that he was going to be able to. And I'm so much more excited about how he's going to be in year two, like how much more settled, understanding of the NFL, understanding of that offense. I also said Sean Payton has a lot of complexity in what he likes to do. And I think we're going to start seeing the complexity show up this year.
And what is the plan with these tight ends? Because he brings in Evan Engram, very, skilled, talented, of course, like physical traits. He comes in early. He comes in free agency. And then, of course, they draft this Lohner kid as well, who, by the way, Caleb Lohner, former basketball playing tight end. So, of course, he's getting comps to you. How do you feel about that?
Well, number one, I love it. I love seeing guys that it takes a lot of courage to switch positions. Switch sports because you got so much to learn. Like you're really putting yourself out there. So I'm always going to be rooting for tight ends and especially hoopers that make that switch. But it's challenging. I've even heard like the comparisons of Jimmy Graham myself, right? Like that's a lot to put on the guy. I think 7th-round draft pick, just getting into it, didn't play a ton of snaps in college. So I would say be patient there. But I think he had like a touchdown almost on all his receptions last year. And so if you give Sean Payton a red zone threat, have him running seams, have him run a couple fades. I think if he's able to understand the game, that Sean Payton knows how to mix that type of athlete in. But then you get in a proven veteran like Evan Ingram, that you know what you're going to get. I love the way he runs routes. I like the way he positions himself on the field. And giving Sean Payton two possible dynamic tight ends, it can be pretty special. And I'm sure that Bo won't be complaining about it either.
I mean, how much do you think that'll help him? And I'm thinking, everything I read about this Lohner, and I get to meet him this weekend, which I'm excited about. It's just he wants to learn, and so that's got to be part of it, right? The mastermind of Sean and George saying we're going to bring in Evan, been here, done that. He can soak it up because there is this transition period, and like you didn't pop off your rookie year. So it's almost this patient took you a couple of years to really get it to whatever at the tight end spot coming from that basketball background. What would you say? What would be your advice if he didn't want to have a slow start or a slower start to his NFL career? What would you tell him?
I would say that, talk with your coaches and find out what you need to be best at right away to get on the field, right? Because there's a big menu. There's so much you have to learn at the tight end position. It's impossible to get really good at all that right away. So just find out like, hey, what are the things you need me to be good at right now? If I was him, I would say get great at running the seam. That's what Jimmy Graham, he crushed it. I mean, he was setting records with the Saints when he was running up those seams. I know that that's a threat that Sean Payton wants to utilize. So I would tell him to start understanding coverages, start understanding leverages, and understand how to manipulate your defender so that Bo can always count on you up those seams, whether it's single high, two high. You really create the throwing lane sometimes when there's nothing there with the ability to be 6'7" and get off the ground. So I would tell him, man, concentrate on the seams, understanding coverages, and really working by slipping past linebackers. But I'm sure his coaches are telling him that as well.
Got it. Did you catch any of the lottery news last night?
Yeah. This last year, I came on as a mental performance specialist for the San Antonio Spurs. So got a chance to work with them all year. Love just being with that franchise and helping them out. So it was really exciting to see us grab that second pick. But yeah, I always, keep one thumb in the basketball world.
I mean, what did you make? What was your reaction about the Mavs winning the draft lottery?
Man, I just think all it's going to do is continue to sound this conspiracy theory around the NBA. It's so interesting that conspiracy theorists are like really talking about pro sports. Like last year it was the Chiefs. It's like, what's the NBA and the trade for Luka, and now the Mavericks getting the number one pick. I don't personally believe that pro sports, like those conspiracy theorists are right, but it is ironic. And I think if I'm Nico Harrison, I'm extremely happy that things broke that way because he needed a win.
He definitely needed a win, and we love that. And I guess like, is it enough? Like, I don't know enough about basketball. You come from basketball, you know all that. Like, will getting Cooper Flagg make up for the Luka trade?
I think only time will tell. If he's able to have the career that some people think he could have, then maybe it makes up for it. It depends on what happens with Luka and the Lakers, right? Like everybody is going to wait till after the fact to really make a decision on was it enough to make up for it. But I think it's a great start. You're bringing in a tremendous athlete. One thing I flagged, though, and this is just a little insight that I think about, is I think Cooper Flagg is supposed to be projected to play like the 4 spot, which is where Anthony Davis wanted to play. And I think it was like one of his biggest opportunities going to the Mavericks. And now it's like, oh man, is AD going to have to get shifted back to the 5? So there's those things to think about. But I think Cooper Flagg's a phenomenal athlete, and I'm sure they won't be mad about getting the number 1 pick.
People want to bring the draft lottery to the NFL. Your thoughts?
I'm okay with it. I think
Really?
the draft lottery is good because you can't purposely tank, right? Like that was the reason why they started the draft lottery. I think it creates some excitement, right? Like we know one thing about the NFL, they're always looking for something to create excitement around the game. Could you imagine them doing like a draft lottery like a week before the draft, or like, I don't know when they would do it, but that could be a 2-day event of itself, right? The TV, the advertising. I mean, you put those kind of ideas out there into the universe, and I'm sure that the NFL would be opposed to picking up on it.
Tell me more. I mean, I'm all for it. I kind of understand it. I kind of don't, but it sounds very exciting, and the entire world like flipped upside down, which I think the NFL would probably love. And of course, adding dates to, I mean, look, a schedule release is like a high holiday around here. You know the business side of it, looking back at your career as well. I'd like to know what you do with the Spurs, more about that. I think it's a fun time, or not a fun time, but an interesting time in the history of that organization with everything that's going on with Pop. What does it feel like around there now?
One of the things that I've been committed to since walking away from the game is understanding mental health. And, for the last 7 years, I feel like a broken record saying, I'm focusing on my doctorate in psychology, but I'll officially be done sometime this fall. So excited about that journey and what I've been able to learn. But one of the things that gave me this passion was when I got to sit around with a lot of tremendous athletes, a lot of young men, and you can see the things that people go through. And I always wanted to be able to support other professional athletes. So getting an opportunity to come in and support people that are young in their professional journey and just be in their corner is something that's really meaningful for me. Obviously, some things that were unexpected pop and having that health issue. And, it's hard, right? Because in sports, it's dealing with the change and finding different ways to process that, stay focused on what you have to do, while also at the same time supporting the people that matter to you. And everybody loves Pop in San Antonio. That's what I've learned. He's earned it. He's such a great human being, right? You can just go places and people will tell you stories about the different things he's done and how memorable that was for them. So I know that this is a big change, but the incoming head coach, Mitch Johnson, he's a great guy, a tremendous basketball mind. I'm really excited for him and this opportunity that he has.
What have you learned about yourself in this role and being this support for these younger guys, different generation, different adversity, but still the same?
Yeah, it's true, right? Like one of the things I've learned is I'm starting to get a little bit older, especially working in basketball, and everybody there is, early 20s. So that's a little bit different. They grew up at a different time. But the other thing is because of social media and how much more that allows people to, in some ways, interact with athletes, you start to see that how that changes what athletes experience, right? And I think we've heard it at the college level, we've heard it at the pro level now, and more athletes are being more vocal about some of the things that they're reading about themselves and they're hearing. And those can be challenges, right? And the other thing I think about, especially in the NBA, is the demands and the pressures to perform and to be able to help your team at a high level. It's such a young age, right? We talk about, the younger is better trained that's happening in sports, but now we're putting more of that stuff on people in their early 20s, where in the past, maybe, by the time you got to 25, 26, 27, then they're saying, okay, we need you to pull the franchise. We need you to add wins to the season. But, these are a lot of really young men and they're human. And I think that that's one thing that I'm able to see that maybe that fans don't always think about when you're thinking about your bets or your fantasy, and just being there for young guys that are on a journey that have a lot on their shoulders and trying to be in their corner.
It's amazing. And I love that you're doing that in the NBA. We could use you in the NFL, please. And maybe one of these several teams that you are so close to. Talk to little Broncos. With the Jags, you're saying this journey. Trevor Lawrence has been on a journey. A winner, of course, gets into the NFL, some adversity, changes the guard, all of that. And things are really looking up. I don't want to overhype it, but you bring in Liam Cohen, right? Second overall pick, Travis Hunter, bring in the juice. What are your expectations for Trevor Lawrence this year?
Well, I think one thing you always have to think about is when you have leadership changes, right? So many people, they underestimate the challenges that come when you have changes at the top. And if you hear players that have played for a long time, they'll often tell you that was the most frustrating parts of their career is if you have changes as a head coach or coordinator or GM, this really starts to change the way that your day-to-day operations work, right? And it doesn't always mean that it's going to be worse, wishing the Jags the best and hoping that the changes that they made are ultimately beneficial for them. But that's hard, right? And so if you're a quarterback, and if there's any system changes, any things like that, that's something that you have to work through and you have to master something else. So I would say that you be patient, even though I'm sure Jags fans don't want to hear that. But, you bring in young players, you're able to get some really talented individuals on the field, but it takes more than that, right? There's a cohesiveness that you can't underestimate.
I asked you a vague question, so I got a little bit of a vague answer. So that's a little bit on me, but I would like to press you a little bit on Trevor Lawrence, like MVP type season vibes, come out playoff vibes. What are we saying here? Or
that is
patience. Like you think it's not, they need the year to be more cohesive and then let's launch next season.
yeah. Well, I mean, MVP vibes. I mean, we're talking about the quarterback position right now, which I think that we're seeing some of the best quarterback play that we've seen in a long time. Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Like
Tough.
there are so many people that are playing at a high level. So to say that Trevor Lawrence can have an MVP type season, I think that's a really big ask. And then, also playing in the AFC, right? Like that's not going to be an easy conference to make the playoffs in. All right. And so I would say that keep the expectations very moderate. Let the Jags play themselves into expectations, but don't
Yeah.
throw it on them before the season starts. I don't think that's going to be helpful for them from a brain standpoint. But I also think you have to earn expectations, and it
Yeah.
can't just be, oh well, we paid you this, and this was your draft. How you were selected in the draft. Oh, you should just be here now. No, you got to earn them
Julius,
through how you
it is going
play.
to be hard. It's smart and like let's undersell and over deliver, but you have Travis Hunter on that team. So if you think they're going to have moderate expectations for anything, it's not going to happen. But I understand what you're saying, and I wish that everybody had that same temperament. We're going to take a break, but before we get off the TV side, and I'd like to keep you for the YouTube side, can you tell me a little bit more about Optimal Performance? I know you're committed to helping wellness, performance. What do we have going on at Optimal?
Yeah, no, this is something that it's kind of become my baby. Becoming a founder now is a different journey for me and transition in my life. But I'm very committed to using science to bridge the gap between performance and wellness. I think that you see it so much in sports that our performance actually sits on top of our well-being. But a lot of the work I do with different organizations, like you don't see that so much on the business side, and trying to help individuals understand, how to create those team dynamics, how to be able to work through the challenges that are just inherent. They come up in life for all of us, and to be able to do it in a way where you stay locked in and you're mentally performing in the best possible capacity for yourself and your organization. It's tricky, but I love that space. I love working in it. And I'm really excited to be able to step full time into that role as a founder and CEO when school's done, and just continue to find creative ways and innovative ways to help teams be their best, but without sacrificing what I like to talk about a lot is the cost of performance, and, your mental health, physical health, emotional health, and relational health sometimes suffers because of the goals that we have.
OptimalPerformanceSystem.com for that short TV break here. We're still live on YouTube. I have two questions. I actually have like seven, but I want to ask you about Von Miller.
Yep.
Your old pal. Still out there, still looking. I talked to him a couple of months ago, saw him down in Mexico. Can you envision this Broncos reunion? Are you brokering it? Like, what are we doing?
It's funny because I was actually with an old teammate of mine that I played on the Jags with the other day, and we were talking about Mercedes Lewis, right? And
I can't. All I want to talk about is Mercedes Lewis. I love this.
So he's had one of the longest careers that I've ever seen. His longevity, his ability to continue to get his body prepared to do that is amazing. And, I give him so much respect for that. And, for Von, I think it would be a good close to his chapter, right? I know how much Denver meant to Von. I know how much it hurt when he left Denver. And I mean, we saw the videos. We know what that experience was like for him. So whatever capacity that could be like, right? Like setting the expectations for him, his role, like, leave that to the franchise and the coaches. But man, I know it would mean so much for him to run out of that tunnel. I know that I've even heard different things about how he would love to just live in Denver when his career is over. So ingratiating him back into that community where he was one of the best football players I ever had a chance to see. I think that would be a great storyline.
My computer froze as I wish we were frozen in time. I wish you were back on the field. And you mentioned Mercedes Lewis. And I find him so fascinating. And I went on and on about him because this is a guy, he's trying to go on year 20. Okay. He hasn't hung it up. As far as I know, I don't see any retirement paperwork out of your former teammate. Spent the last year with the Bears. Where do you want to see him play?
To be honest, if he wants to continue playing, I want to see him playing wherever somebody's going to value him and what he can still bring to the game. I don't know if I have a particular place in mind, but let's just go with the same thing. Come on,
Julius, pick
right?
a place.
Let's have Sadie's go back to Jacksonville and get the right send off that he deserves. Like beginning his career there, all the years that he gave to that franchise, and being able to have that opportunity to finish what he does where it started. I don't know. I just always think that's a great storyline, right? And I think that sometimes what we can offer the fans is not always just about production, right? It's also like the feel good pieces that make us human beings like interested in what we're watching and what we're committing our time to, right? So Broncos, bring back Vaughn. You were saying like before your computer kicked me off because I just wasn't engaging enough.
That's not true.
Does he have it? I mean, does Vaughn have a couple great rushes in him a game? Absolutely. Now, does he need to play 60 snaps? I don't know. That's up to them. That's up to Vaughn. But do I think he can still get to the quarterback? Sure. I think there were some plays in last year's playoffs where, that's not a bad play for somebody that is been coming off the edge as long as he has. So I believe that both of them can still do it. They're two of the best athletes I've ever seen.
I think Mercedes and Aaron have like oh, no, you don't. I'm going to play longer than you between him and Rodgers. I think that they literally are. Yeah, you're nodding. I think that is a thing that is happening, which is amazing. I think we have to say bye to Julius now, right? Is that true? Oh, we're going to say bye. Julius, I appreciate you so much. We'll talk to you. Thank you for all the work you do. Sorry, I don't know about the Spurs. I'll be better next time.
It's all right, Kay. So great to see you. Thanks for having me on. Can't wait till next time.
Great to see you.